Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Hissam Fareed. I hope all of you are doing good in life. I welcome you to the third lecture of a powerful series of educational psychology. And in this lecture, we are going to look at the difference between a teacher and an educator, as you can see next to arrow. Well, all of you must have heard about teacher, but some of you might have heard about educator, and there might be people amongst you who have not heard the term educator, and if they have, they may not be familiar with its meaning. But for them, this lecture that this lecture is for them. Also, this lecture is for those who are going to appear in interview for teaching jobs inside Pakistan or outside Pakistan. Why? You will come to know about this. You will have an answer to this in this interview. Okay, so watch it till the end. And here is a line which says that modern education prefers educator over teachers. Why? Again, the answer to this question you will get in this lecture. Let us start. Who is a teacher? A teacher is someone who teaches subject related knowledge, number one, who prepares students for examination, who helps students in their academic journey. That is a teacher. But who is an educator? Well, an educator, listen carefully, an educator works on a broader canvas. That is, he or she goes one step beyond a teacher and engages in the character development of a student. Okay, that is, an educator not only fulfills the responsibilities of a teacher but also goes one step further and actively takes part in the character development of students. Now, what is meant by character development? Very simple. If I there it has a lot of meaning. We can define it in as many ways as possible, but if I'm allowed to give a simple definition of character development, that I would say that it is to instill, it is to inculcate good qualities in students and help them eliminate bad qualities. That is that is called character development. So an educator takes part in the character development of students. He or she also understands the needs of every individual student. How? I can give an example from my teaching experience, and I have mentioned it here, a small account from my teaching experience. Well, I would teach English to grade 9th students. It was a class of 50 students, and I would teach them grammar and also translation. But I found out that out of those 50 students, there were 10 students who were unable to read a simple sentence of English in the right way. And so I separated them. I made a group of them and would give them one or two paragraphs every day, which they were supposed to learn at home and come back to school the next day reading that paragraph before me. I would also help them. Sometimes I would punish them, other time I would reward them. And a time come after some time when those students were able a time come came when those students were able to read paragraphs, English paragraphs fluently, smoothly. Okay, so here I acted as an educator, not as a teacher, because I understood their individual needs. And so I did not ask them about translation the next day, even though I would ask the remaining 40 students about translation in order to see whether they have picked up whether they have picked up the translation of a passage or not. Then there is another the last thing is, so how is it going to help you in your interview? That was also the question. Yes, if you're going to appear an interview for a teaching job inside Pakistan or outside Pakistan, the interviewer expect you to act like an educator, not as a teacher. But if you don't know about the difference between a teacher and an educator, how could you act like an educator? You will, okay, have in your mind the traditional approach of a teacher, and so you will think that you have uh, given such good answers during interview, but then when the result comes, you will be not selected. Why? Because you did not know the difference between a teacher and an educator. So you must know the difference, and you have learned something about what is the difference between a teacher and an educator. And so next time you go to your interview, you go to interview, just have in mind the approach of an educator. You must be an educator, because I have here written and highlighted text: modern education prefers educators over teachers. Okay, and so there will be you will enhance your chances of selection if you go with the attitude of an educator, not teacher, to the interview. Then there is the last line, which is also the last thing of this lecture, and I'm going to wind it up. A teacher is not an educator, but an educator is a teacher. Okay, that says that a teacher is not an educator. Yes, from the difference we just explained, you can say that a teacher is not an educator, but an educator is a teacher, because an educator not only fulfills the responsibilities of a teacher, but also goes one step beyond. So an educator is also a teacher, but because an educator performs because an educator actively uh, participate in the character develop participates in the character development of students, so he or she is one step ahead of a teacher. So a teacher cannot be called an educator. A teacher is not an educator. Okay, even though that is not very necessary, because if a teacher, yeah, so this is how I would say it, this is how I would put it. So with that, we come to the end of our lecture number third. Hopefully you hopefully you enjoy it. It must have added something to your prior knowledge. Thank you very much for your time. Take good care of yourself. Stay tuned for the next video lecture. Thank you.